Let's use the forecast oracle today to take a look at the collective energy, predictively see what's coming this week around within the collective or around the world, and then see how this energy affects us on a personal level. So I'm doing this reading in 3 different sections. First is what's going on in the collective. Secondly is what this could mean for the world stage. And thirdly, what this is on a personal level for each of us. I'm using the forecaster oracle, which is capable of reading all 3 types of scenarios. So let's just get into this reading today. Now, last week they wanted to talk about the energy of the algorithm and how I said our algorithms will be full of maybe even something negative. So our TV, our social media will be all directing us in one place, fear-based energy. And then we had that same evening after I'd done that reading was the Bondi attack. So I feel that was really relevant. And then that's all we saw on our TV and that's all that was on our social media. So the cards did warn us that we need to be careful what we do with our attention and our energy, because it means something. When we put our collective attention into one thing, we need to pay attention where they want us to put our energy and pay attention to where our attention goes. Make sure you're in control of it and not being just directed because of an algorithm or a narrative. So moving all that energy of last week aside, let's take a look now of what is going on in the collective energy for this week, the next 7 days, collective energy. What's going on in the collective energy this week? Okay, so the energy's full right now. There's a lot going on. You can see by that top card. For some of you, it will be shift of thinking because of the collective energy or having to think about the situation differently. But mostly I feel it's just too much. It's too much. The energy is very heavy. There's a lot going on. We're being thrown things in all different directions collectively. Now I'm seeing sky agents, drone intelligence on top of cosmic frontier above and below. So things going on in the cosmic energy, reminding me, sky agents, that it wants to talk about what's going on in the astrology. I'll just go and grab an astrology chart so I can take a look at that, and then I'll be back. So I can't believe they've done that. Once again, they've brought out the sky agent card just to remind me that I'm including astrological placements in these readings. So collectively, you can see what's going on in the cosmos that could be affecting you on a personal level, but also playing out within the collective energy as well. So I would have forgotten if the cards didn't remind me today. So the moon is usually an indicator of our feelings and emotions, and it travels through signs every 2 to 2.5 days. So I won't go through the moon today, only because there's bigger things or aspects taking place with some of the other planets. Namely, first thing I'm going to talk about is the Venus connection. Venus with Neptune, they are squaring. Squaring is a bit of a difficult aspect because it causes some kind of challenges or trying to rectify the two energies together. Now, Venus represents relationships, love, not so much emotions, more about balance, harmony, money, self-love as well, how you feel about yourself, your skills, your confidence, and those kind of things. In the collective, though, because it's squaring Neptune. Neptune can be disillusionment. It can be fantasy thinking. Now, I did say I wanted to pay attention to placements of disillusionment impacting the collective in Sagittarius, because this placement came out last week and then we had the Bondi attacks, and I said Sagittarius represents religion. The squaring energy of Neptune, I'm not sure why my screen keeps bouncing like that. The Neptune Pisces connection. Okay, so we've got Venus energy in the mix this time. This is love. This is harmony, trying to find balance, trying to rectify things in a balanced and harmonious way. But we've still got this fogginess around calling things out, dissolving things, forming boundaries, removing boundaries, or questioning boundaries in the collective this week. Trying to find balance. There's fogginess here with the collective energy. There could be endings, the sense of impending endings, or energy around, let me pull this in properly, because they're both 29 degrees, they're at their final stages of these signs. So 29 degrees Pisces for Neptune and 29 degrees Sagittarius for Venus. Venus is the one that's in Sagittarius, but it is aspecting the Neptune energy of lies, fantasy thinking, escapism. Sagittarius is religious, philosophical pursuits. And it's still strongly squaring 0 degree orb, both 29 degrees, with Venus in Sagittarius. So that connection with Neptune, the planet of escapism, fanaticism, is still, or blurred boundaries, is still squaring this week Sagittarius, which is the planet of religion. I said I was going to be more vigilant around that information. 0 degree orb. They are impacting each other. 0 degree orb. So it's a complete aspect here, squaring aspect. So what does Venus do? Venus wants to highlight our connections, trying to find balance between both parties, radicalized thinking, trying to find the balance between that. Sitting in Sagittarius is Neptune, wanting to communicate it. So we're going to hear a lot about it on the media. It's in communications. Collectively, narratives might be distorted around this energy of what has happened or what's coming, because the energy is still quite intense. But there may also be a rise of compassion, empathy, and spiritual longing also coming this week, given the things that have happened, but given the connections here and the Venus connection with this situation. So the next one that I want to talk about here, and it's that feeling of a fated aspect because they're both 29 degrees. So it's urgency. It feels like it's urgency around truth being revealed, because truth is another aspect of Sagittarius. So they're trying to find the truth urgently. So it's like, because it's 29 degrees, it's like they've got to move through this disillusionment of what's really going on here. It's a last lesson around freedom, honesty, or expansion that's going on here. Over idealism. Now, also the other planets that I want to talk about here is Jupiter in Cancer is trining Saturn in Pisces. Both water signs, they're trining, they're here to help each other's energy. Water is emotional intelligence, it's intuition, it's healing, it's spiritual maturity. So flowing all in the same direction, here to help each other because of the trining aspect going on here. Supportive energy, stabilizing energy, people coming together, energy kind of thing. Emotionally, by the emotional energy, people coming together. But then I'm drawn straight up to that cognitive dissonance, shift in thinking, and just this sense of, are you serious kind of energy? Like, this is all just too much to take kind of energy. So as I'm thinking about the connection between Jupiter and Cancer, trining in Saturn and Pisces, or Saturn in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer, I want to talk a little bit about Jupiter's expansive energy. It's optimism. It's where our optimism is, and it's in Cancer, heavily protected and guarded by the energies of Cancer, protectiveness. And then we've got Saturn in Pisces being restrictive. We're trying to restrict our emotions on what's going on in the collective energy. So this is all taking place. So we're protecting ourselves from expansion of these idealisms or this radicalized thinking because of the energy of Neptune, being sometimes a like a fantasy thinker, gets caught in disillusionment, caught in non-clear ways of thinking. It is heavily aspecting negatively or square aspecting Venus. Venus is about our trying to find balance, and this is radicalized idealisms here and picking sides and that kind of energy. Now there's really strong energy in the collective, and then enhanced by that is Saturn not wanting the situation to expand and looking for ways to protect. With Cancer, protecting people we care about, people coming together emotionally, compassionately with that Venus energy. But then we've got the Saturn energy wanting to restrict emotions because it's in Pisces, water sign, about emotions. So collective ability to feel without drowning. So that's what this coming back to the energy here of this is just all too much. It's an emotional overwhelm, emotional feeling of drowning. So here we are trying to feel without drowning in this collective energy. Thankfully that came out finally. So it was building and I didn't quite know where that energy was going. But yeah, that's made sense now. So let's move on. The other thing I wanted to talk about here was the other aspect that's playing out is Saturn-Neptune conjunction. I did talk a little bit about this in last week. That was always there, that Saturn-Neptune conjunction. Saturn, I talked about it a little bit, but I focused more on the sun last week. Was the sun in Sagittarius, which is now in Capricorn, so the energy's changed. It was where I thought this religious, and I didn't say religious, but I wanted to have my eyes open to religion, philosophies or dogma causing some kind of impact because of that aspect that was going on with Neptune. Neptune's fantasy thinking, it's also disillusionment, and boundaries, talking about boundaries, whether having strong boundaries or having to question boundaries. So those things all kind of did really play out last week. So this week it's not the sun that is aspecting Neptune, it is Venus, and Venus is our compassion, it's our love, it's our need to find balance and harmony. So that could be more where the collective is going, that this energy's all been just too overwhelming and we need to find some kind of harmony within the boundaries here. So I'm going to leave the astrology reading there, or I could read for another hour on astrology, but I won't. This is a collective energy. So that was just briefly with the sky agent talking about what's going on in the sky with the planets and on the cosmic front. So we've got an information surge coming in this week. That is the Epstein files. They are hitting the collective this week. So lots of information people are digging through. That's going to be very heavily on the collective energy this week. It's going to play a big role in the way people think about other people or certain people, because you can see information surge or information data dump with cognitive disruption, which means that it's going to shift our perspectives or our way of thinking about certain people this week. Maybe we'll have illusions. I'm thinking Neptune here with disillusionment around, is this stuff for real? Is this real? Is this fake? Is this AI? Like, this can't be real. We're thinking about the digital identity. Is this stuff digital? Is it not real? Is this the true identities? Information data sync and data dump, trying to sync up and find the identities within the released Epstein files. So going through in the collective, looking at the information, it's redacted, trying to see who the syncing up the identities and who they are within these released documents, also in the collective this week. Then we have a state of emergency in the collective energy over this week. It's an urgent response. Could be coming in from that urgency of Venus and Neptune both sitting in 29 degrees, causing a feeling of urgency that is needed to dissolve lies, to get to the truth of it before time runs out. So there's that energy there. I don't know why I'm seeing the little time on the picture, time running out here. So in a state of emergency, maybe it's the people involved in it that is in a state of panic around getting things redacted last minute, or holding back the papers, certain papers, so they can lose them or redact them altogether. So yeah, that's interesting. So there's a lot going on collectively over this week that affects us all. Now let's see what it means for the world stage. Predictions, world events happening because of the collective energy over this current week. It's pretty strong energy. First of all, I want to talk about censorship, silent speech this week, sitting right next to surveillance state and monitoring, and changing course. So there's changes being made, perhaps there's policies from the lawmakers wanting to take a deeper look into monitoring the people for the reasons of safety. Now, given what we had with Bondi, where, if certain things were monitored a little bit more closely, hate speech for one thing, I'm hearing as well, hate speech is part of that. It's one of the things they want to crack down on, hate speech. Now, it goes a little bit deeper than this. So becoming a surveillance state because of the need for censorship. So in order to get that censorship and look out for the hate speech, to prevent any more of these terror attacks that happened in Bondi last week, certain changes have to be made to laws or whatever it is they push through, certain things, because it's needed right now. Does it really do? It's a form of censorship. It's a small stepping stone in a long-term vision. It's the foundational infrastructure of the smart grid rising, the urban evolution. It's the first steps on future plans coming into light, into action over this current week. We'll be seeing some course changes to social media or surveillance state for our protection, of course. But it's all forms part of a long-term vision. And these are just small stepping stones that take them in the direction that they have for us. Also, the sun wants to make its appearance over this week. It could be EMFs, solar flares heading our way, electromagnetic energy, solar G-class flares, or some kind of, geomagnetic storms heading our way because the sun's making its appearance, saying that there could be a bit more further disruption to the solar activity, which could call for some more heightened activity on the sun. Affects us electromagnetically, which affects us on the collective energy, how we feel, what we're feeling. We could feel that as headaches, but this is not the this is not the personal section. This is the collective. I hope I make it all the way through. My battery's about to go flat. So I'll move on to the collective, to the personal reading. What to look out for personally. I may get cut from this reading because my battery's about to go flat. So let's see what we can bring out. We're changing course, consciousness shift. So we need to think carefully about where we put our time, our attention, our emotions. Emotions very important here. Where we're putting our emotions on in response to certain things that are taking place in the collective energy. Changing course, changing ideas, the solar flare, the effects of this is what they wanted to talk about. The effects of the solar activity affects us on a personal level. Headaches, tiredness, mental fog, brain fog. It's like not clear. power flow. Now, it could be some of us end up with heightened flow, heightened energy. Power structures could be affected as well, because this is power grids in the background. But our energy levels get affected by solar radiation or solar geometric energy. So it's saying pay attention, and I apologize for my fast talking. My last battery for the day is about to go flat. Authoritarian response, being compliant. So here we have the earth fracture, shaky ground, power plays and energy. So energetically, the earth gets affected by solar energy, because we've got solar pulse affects the earth energy, and the power grids even, or our own personal vitality and power. But we are talking about external pressures felt this week from outside influences. Now, that means it's not what's going on in our own bodies or our own minds, it's what's going on in the collective energy that really affects us this week. So keep that in mind about your energy levels, your vitalities this week. Try not to push yourself too hard. Do what it takes to do what you do to build up your own energy, because you may struggle a little bit with energy this week. You may need a change of course this week, change things on a personal level, some changes coming your way, changing how you respond to the people around you this week. Some relationships on shaky grounds may require a different approach, changing tact, changing course. Compliance, what do we have there? We have got compliance, forced compliance, forced to go along with the way things are because of changes. So we've got changes coming and having to go with the flow of the situation. Flows on the cards as well. Having to go with the flow, forced compliance, go with the flow of the changes coming up this week on a personal level. Plans may get disrupted this week because of our external pressures. Weather's one of those external outside pressures that could cause changes to our plans this week. So here, just want to be mindful about relationships and shaky structures, or relationships on shaky ground, just being mindful of different tacks need to be taken this week, but also keeping in mind your personal vitality and your personal energy flow as well, because it could be affected by external pressures, external collective energy this week, energy of the sun this week, or energy of weather affecting your plans this week. So just kind of ride the wave a little bit, go with the flow. On a personal level this week, be mindful of people around you that may not be handling the current situations as well as you. They could be on shaky grounds with their mental health. So just be aware of what other people could be experiencing from collective energy. They may not understand it the way that you do. So just bear that in mind when it comes to dealing with other people. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this collective energy reading. Please drop me a comment. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and hit that heart button, because it does help the algorithm for me. So I do want to thank you for being here, and thank you so much for joining me for today's reading.